You won't believe what happened to a woman who buried her baby in the snow, only to find something she never expected in the arms of a dying stranger. This is the powerful story of Widow Harper, a woman who walked out of grief and into a second chance with a man who had nothing left to live for, until he met her. It all started on a night so cold that even the stars seemed to pull away from the earth. Snow fell fast and heavy, as if trying to erase everything that came before. The wind howled across the prairie, as if it knew every secret and sin ever committed under its sky. Alone. That's how she walked, wrapped in wool and rabbit fur, carrying nothing but silence and a tiny bundle pressed tight against her chest. Her name didn't matter anymore. In the last town, they called her Widow Harper, though she had never worn a ring or made vows. She didn't correct them. Names were heavy. Hers had long since been buried beneath the snow. The baby hadn't stirred in hours. His breath had grown shallow, then gone quiet altogether. By the time she found the old trapper's shack tucked between two cottonwoods, she already knew the truth. He was gone. No scream, no wail. Just stillness. She sat down in the snow at the threshold, listened one last time, and let the wind take him. Then she did what had to be done. With bare hands and frozen ground, she dug. Not deep, just enough to tuck him beneath the roots where the snow wouldn't reach so soon. She laid him there, facing east, just like her grandmother used to say. One kiss, one whispered word, and then back inside. She bolted the door behind her, collapsed against it, and let the darkness take her. Morning came without light. She woke with stiff, cracked fingers and swollen feet. No tears, just silence. She rebuilt the fire, ate dried meat, watched the lantern swing on a nail, and waited for death. But something moved at dusk, a thump, a scrape. She stiffened. Outside, a figure staggered against the wind, tall, limping, wrapped in blood-soaked leather. He moved like a man who didn't know if he was still alive. She didn't open the door, not right away. Instead, she watched. He collapsed just shy of the stoop, face down in the drift. Steam rose from his back. She counted to 60, twice. Then, she moved. Fast. Stupid. Driven by something she didn't recognize in herself. She dragged him inside by the coat, her heart hammering in her throat. He didn't flinch when she cleaned the wound with snow and whiskey. Didn't wake when she stitched it with thread torn from her own coat. She didn't ask his name. He didn't offer one. Not yet. But something older passed between them. Something quieter. Recognition. Two ghosts in the same storm. He spoke the next morning. You could have let me. Freeze, she answered softly, barely used to her own voice. You were halfway there. He smiled, just barely. Not warmth, but understanding. Night came again. She fed him broth from the last of her beans, waited to see if he'd live. He did. In the morning, he spoke again. You're not afraid of wolves. I'm not afraid of anything, she said, eyes fixed on the fire. He studied her. Then, name's Elijah. She didn't offer hers. Not yet. That night she dreamed of fire, real fire, roaring, devouring canvas, timber, and sky. Her baby's cradle engulfed. She woke clawing at the blanket, breath sharp in her throat. Elijah was watching. He handed her water, said nothing, looked away. By the fourth day, his fever broke. He sat near the stove now, upright, rolling a cigarette with trembling hands. You planning to head out once the trail's clear? He asked. I was, she said. But now I don't know. He watched her for a long while, the smoke curled between them like breath in the cold. You patch me up, feed me, keep me from freezing? Most folks wouldn't. She didn't answer. He leaned back, Exhaled. You think I'm a bad man. I don't think anything. You should. Later that night, she loaded his revolver and set it beside him. If you're set on leaving, best take it. He didn't reach for it. Just stared at her. Then the fire. You know what I was before? She didn't reply. A Pinkerton came looking for me once. Said I had to answer for a robbery gone wrong. Left a family dead. He looked up. I didn't kill anyone, but I was there. The room held still. She didn't ask why he told her, just said, "We all got things behind us." He nodded slowly. The snow stopped that night. In the stillness, the prairie held its breath. Stars burned like frost-tipped candles. At dawn, she stepped outside. The grave was still there, untouched. No tracks, no windfall. The storm had wrapped it, in silence, preserved the shape of her labor. Elijah stood beside her, didn't speak, just bowed his head. She felt the warmth of him close, but not touching, and something inside her, long frozen, shifted, not thawed, not yet, but no longer alone. They walked south as the trail opened. Snow melted in patches, revealing fence posts and ruts long buried. They didn't speak of where they were going. Not exactly. Direction, not destination. South, toward warmer land. Maybe a town where names meant less than coin. On the third day, they found a shack, half swallowed by drifts. Inside, a family of badgers had made a den. Elijah moved to chase them off. She stopped him. Let them be, she said. Ain't ours to take. He looked at her, then nodded. That night, under a cottonwood, she watched him from across the flames. Waiting. Always waiting. For what? She asked. He didn't answer, not at first. Then, wife, girl, 10 now. She looked at him, saw something in his face that didn't speak but held pain like a seed clenched tight in a fist. No tears, just loss, layered, lived in. She didn't ask about her baby. Didn't speak the word. But when he passed her the canteen that night, his fingers brushed hers longer than needed. Didn't pull back quick. They crossed a river the next morning, ice groaning under their boots. Elijah slipped once, cursed softly. She caught his elbow. He looked at her after, like a man who forgot people. Could care. You ever shoot anyone? She asked. He didn't answer at first. Yes? Deserved it? Sometimes. That night, she dreamed again. Of fire. But this time, Elijah was there, standing just outside the smoke, reaching through it. She woke before she could take his hand. Spring crept in. Warmth returned cautiously, like the land wasn't sure it wanted it. They found a town by the 6th day. No name posted, just a saloon, a church with no steeple, a boarding house run by a woman with a shotgun and 2 missing teeth. Elijah paid for 2 rooms with coin he didn't. Explain. She didn't ask. They slept in beds that night. Proper ones. She dreamed of warm milk, her baby cooing, sunlight in his curls. In the morning, she walked to the edge of town. Elijah found her there, coffee in hand. You could stay here, he said. I could. Don't sound like you want to. She took the cup, zipped. I don't know what I want. You want to keep moving? No. Then why don't you stay? She looked at him. Really looked. His coat still bore the blood stain. His eyes still carried the years. But something in his face had softened. Not healed, not whole, but willing. I'd like to plant something come spring, she said. He smiled small. You don't strike me as a farmer. Neither do you, he shrugged. We could learn. She looked down at the earth still frozen. It'll be hard. Most good things are. And for the first time since the storm, she let herself hope. They didn't leave town. Not right. Away. Winter lingered. Frost lined the window panes, but the snow softened, melted. The land began to stir. Beneath their feet, Elijah mended doors, saddles, even a cracked banister. Careful work. Not quick, but steady. She helped in the kitchen, scrubbed pans, cooked. For the boarders, the work wasn't kind, but it was known, and that made it bearable. Every night after lamps were lit, he'd sit with her outside the boarding house. Chairs turned toward the emptiness beyond town. Sometimes he told stories. Once about riding courier through Apache land. Another about a dog named Whiskey. She listened. Not because they were grand, but because he told them like they mattered. Like each one was a thread keeping him from unraveling. She shared little. Only fragments. A name, a song, the way her baby held his breath when startled. In those moments, something passed between them. Slender, silent, like wind through dry grass, a tether. Summer came slow, cautious. Green rose proud from the dark earth. Peas climbed twine. The boy weeded. The girl hummed. She didn't sleep in her own room anymore. They didn't speak of it, not out loud. But each night, when the sky turned amber, she carried her quilt across the hall, found his bed turned down. He never reached for her, just made space. Trouble returned like dust on the wind, dry, steady, inevitable. A rider came mid-July, clean coat, too much jingle, asked for Elijah by name, Crowley, sent word before he arrived. Elijah read the note, burned it. "You going to tell me who he is?" she asked. "Fowler, rode with me once. Before everything." She waited. "He's not here for talk." "You sure?" He looked at her, really looked. "He's the one that marked me. The one who said we had to burn it all or leave no witness." She didn't flinch. "I said no." He carved his answer. Her breath caught. "He's here to finish it," Elijah added, voice low. They talked that night about the kind of men who live on blood and silence, about the bodies Elijah had buried, the ones he couldn't, about wounds that never stop aching. "I ain't proud of what I done. I ain't asking you to be." The next morning, Fowler rode in slow, tied his horse in front of the saloon, stepped inside like he owned the boards. Crowley kept a hand under the counter. Elijah met him at the church steps. The whole town stilled. The preacher kept the children. Inside, the wind dropped out. She stood beside Elijah, rifle slung. Fowler laughed. "You bring a widow to a shootout?" Elijah didn't blink. "She's the better shot." Fowler hesitated. Then the boy came running. "Something's eaten the carrots!" The sound broke the air, cracked the spell. Fowler blinked. Elijah used the pause, stepped closer, took the pistol, broke the stock, tossed the barrel into the dust. Fowler spat blood. Elijah leaned in. "You ride now. Don't come back." Somehow the man did. After the preacher said a prayer, not for justice, just thanks, she helped Elijah patch his split knuckles. Neither spoke. But when her fingers paused, he looked up. "You didn't flinch. You didn't draw." He nodded once. That night, the girl brought over a pie, said it was from the garden, tasted more of sugar than anything grown. The townsfolk began to look at them differently, not like ghosts, like people who might stay. Autumn edged in with quiet dignity. The prairie turned gold and rust. She woke to dry leaves brushing the window. Elijah's breath steady beside her. The garden bore its final fruits, onions, carrots. She laid them out like a mother smoothing hair. The children came most days now. The boy stacked wood. The girl learned to sew. Elijah taught her lullabies, the ones her mother used to hum. The boy asked if Elijah would teach him to shoot. "Not yet," Elijah said. "There are things a child ought to learn first. How to plant, how to patch a boot, how to speak without raising your voice." Then, when the boy asked, when? When you've grown into a man who don't want to. Winter came again. Snow blanketed the town. But this time, it felt less like burial, more like a blanket pulled over tired shoulders. She lit a lantern, set it on the sill. Elijah carved toys beside the fire. Wooden animals, small, fit in a child's hand. She read by the stove. The Bible, a novel. No need to fill the silence, it was theirs. In time, folks came to say they belonged, not just survivors, not just names on a ledger, but part of. The bones of the place. Come spring? They planted again. Bigger this time. Rows marked with stone. The girl helped with seed. The boy kept crows at bay. Elijah whittled slingshots. She caught him watching her once, hands idle, eyes soft. What? She asked. He shook his head. Just didn't. Think I'd ever be glad to stay somewhere? She walked to him, rested her brow to his chest. You're not staying. You're home. He held her, arms wrapped around the life they'd made. From wreckage, from fire, from graves, they built something real, something lasting. And this time, no storms howled louder than their fire. No graves needed digging. Just love, quiet, stubborn, growing wild in the thawed earth.